In the city that never sleeps, some predators hid in plain sight. Across decades, serial killers stalked New York City and its surrounding suburbs, exploiting the anonymity and scale of the region. From the terror of David Berkowitz's 1977 shooting spree to the calculated brutality of Richard Cottingham, Robert Schulman, Richard Rogers Jr., and Joel Rifkin. They were strangers, neighbors, ordinary men who blended into everyday life while committing extraordinary crimes. In this episode of That Was the News Then, we revisit the investigations, the missed warnings, and the breakthroughs that finally brought them to justice. We begin with David Berkowitz, the man known as the Son of Sam. He was found guilty of 6 murders in New York City across 3 boroughs. The day before his guilty plea, we reported how the magnitude of the murders created an unprecedented situation in court.
If all goes as predicted, David Berkowitz will sit in this chair tomorrow before standing up to plead guilty to counts of murders in 3 boroughs to a 3-panel judge from Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx in what is predicted to be one of the most unusual legal proceedings in a criminal case in this city's history. Since that muggy night in mid-August when police arrested David Berkowitz, the alleged Son of Sam has appeared in court only once. The rest of his hearings have all been held in Kings County Hospital's G building, where he is now in custody. Tomorrow, Berkowitz is due in Brooklyn Supreme Court again. He is expected to reverse his plea of not guilty and plead guilty to all 6 Son of Sam murders. Security will be tight. Most of the doors to the courthouse will be locked. All persons entering will be screened by metal detectors. All of the 250 spectators, half of them members of the press, will need a special pass. According to the calendar, the hearing will take place at 9:30 a.m. in room 956. Judge Joseph R. Corso will preside first. Then he'll turn the bench over to judges from the other boroughs. The plan was considered so unusual, it had to be approved by David Ross, the administrative judge for the city courts. If all goes as planned tomorrow in Brooklyn Supreme Court, David Berkowitz will enter guilty pleas to a panel of judges from Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. It's an unprecedented kind of system for an unprecedented kind of case. The only problems that might arise will arise when things don't go as planned. Berkowitz has proven himself to be an unpredictable kind of man, both in and out of court.
Next, we take a look at Richard Cottingham, a.k.a. the Torso Killer. To his neighbors in New Jersey and his colleagues at Blue Cross Blue Shield, he was a quiet family man and a dedicated computer operator. But to the women he hunted, he was a monster.
The summation before the testimony-weary jury. Defense attorney Donald Conway, tall, in command, starting off. Attacking the most serious charge first, the murder of 19-year-old prostitute Valerie Street. It was acknowledged that Richard Cottingham owned and used handcuffs at times for sexual bondage. But the attorney said the handcuffs on the murder victim were not Cottingham's, and the fingerprints supposedly lifted from those cuffs could have been taken from other handcuffs handled by Cottingham. Cottingham had used as an alibi both work records and testimony of his wife and uncle. And defense attorney Conway tried to shore that up, asking the jury to find his client not guilty of all charges. Then the prosecutor's turn. Dennis Callow, wiry, compact, looking like a prize fighter. And he started off jabbing at the alibi, citing the regular falsification of the work records where Cottingham worked, the computer center of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Greater New York. Callow tried to show a pattern of crime, trying to link the description of the murder with the attack on 18-year-old prostitute Leslie Odell 2 weeks later. She was picked up in New York, drugged, and claims she screamed and drove off Cottingham after he handcuffed and threatened her in the same motel where the murder victim was found. Cottingham was arrested in this incident. The prosecutor described how Cottingham allegedly drugged the drinks of his victims with Tuinol, a depressant, taking the women to New Jersey for bondage and sex, and in one case, according to Callow, death. Prosecutor Callow graphically described the victim's mutilations and sufferings, describing the alleged taunts from the defendant as he threatened the life of a bound prostitute. A dramatic courtroom presentation. Court observers think it's going to take a while for the jury to sort this one out. There are 20 different charges facing Cottingham, ranging from robbery to murder. And once this trial is over, well, he faces 2 others. One of them in Manhattan for the murder and mutilation of 3 women. 2 of them prostitutes who were decapitated in a Midtown motel.
The outside world, 34-year-old Joel Rifkin was just a mild-mannered man living a quiet life on Long Island. But behind his blank stare hid a predator who would soon be known as Joel the Ripper. His terrifying secret unraveled not through a massive manhunt, but during a routine traffic stop for a missing license plate that led state troopers to the decomposing body of a woman in the back of his pickup truck.
Joel Rifkin seems mild-mannered, showing no emotion, but some are calling him Joel the Ripper, possibly Long Island's worst serial killer. His elderly mother and sister barely got a look from him, as the 34-year-old was arraigned only on 1 murder charge and held without bail. But some of Rifkin's information has led investigators to uncover the chilling truth in his claim of mass murders.
His details have been close enough on those things that we have determined already. In other words, the body found in Suffolk County today, details are very close.
Police began removing evidence from Rifkin's home. A bow saw and a wheelbarrow, reportedly with blood in it, were some of the items taken. His attorney admitted he is considering an insanity defense, but he also brushed off the accusation that Rifkin may be a serial killer.
Maybe he means that it's against law to kill cornflakes. I don't know what a serial killer is.
New York State troopers caught Rifkin while stopped for a minor traffic violation. He was driving without a license plate when they smelled something foul and found a decomposed body of a woman in his pickup truck. His victim may have been strangled days before. Rifkin then allegedly confessed to police about killing 17 prostitutes in New York State in the last 2 years. Police in New Jersey and Connecticut want to talk to him about 18 unsolved murders in each of those states. At this point, New York police do not know why Rifkin allegedly killed.
We do not have a great deal of information from him, and to be able to corroborate what he has told us means that we're going to have to analyze all of the older case files from any police department that we think might be involved.
Joel Rifkin will be back in court on July 6th. During that time, investigators will be digging up bodies and following all leads to see if Rifkin is really the serial killer he says he is.
For patrons of establishments like the Townhouse restaurant, a simple night out ended in unimaginable horror. A predator, dubbed the Last Call Killer, stalked his victims before leaving a gruesome trail up and down the East Coast.
The 50-year-old murder suspect, Richard Rogers, is formally accused of 2 murders and is a possible suspect in the killings of as many as 5 gay men. Because 3 of the gay men who disappeared in the early 90s frequented the Townhouse Piano Bar on East 58th Street and were last seen at Manhattan gay bars, the mysterious murderer was dubbed the Last Call Killer. 58-year-old Thomas Mulcahy, a computer executive from Sudbury, Massachusetts, who lived with his wife and 4 children there, is said to have been a closet bisexual. His dismembered remains were found in 2 New Jersey counties in July of 1992. The remains of 44-year-old Anthony Marrero, a gay prostitute from Manhattan, were found 10 months later in Ocean County, New Jersey. Michael Sequeira, a Manhattan typesetter, was last seen at the Townhouse in July of 1993. Sequeira's dismembered remains were found at a scenic overlook in Rockland County by a hot dog vendor who works from his truck there.
I looked down in a garbage can, there it was, a couple arms, folded up neatly.
Sequeira's body was discovered in Rockland County. 2 victims' remains were found in Ocean County and Burlington County, New Jersey. And earlier, in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, the remains of a Philadelphia socialite, Peter Anderson, were found in May of 1991. In July of 1992, a Schenectady man's remains were found in a landfill in Rotterdam, New York. The New York City Gay and Lesbian Anti-Violence Project has been offering rewards for finding the killer for years. Clarence Patton says Rogers may turn out to be a prolific serial killer.
There's at least one other individual who is probably going to be connected with this suspect, and there seem to be other murders really up and down the East Coast that may be connected to this person, or that certainly law enforcement agencies are going to see if there is in fact a connection.
Where there was not only murder but dismemberment.
Exactly.
Rogers was not tied to any of these cases until the state of Maine recently joined the automated fingerprint identification system. Rogers' prints from a 1973 killing of a University of Maine student who Rogers killed with a hammer and then disposed of the body on a deserted road were compared with prints taken from the plastic bags used to dispose of victims found in New Jersey. That print match made the other cases.
In 1996, Long Island police arrested 42-year-old Robert Schulman, a suspected serial killer who had confessed to murdering and dismembering 5 women between 1991 and 1995. Drawing chilling comparisons to Joel Rifkin, Schulman targeted sex workers and disposed of their remains across the New York area.
The arrest of the 42-year-old Hicksville man came when prostitutes who knew the victims described Robert Schulman as a frequent customer who had brought at least one of the victims and other prostitutes to his home. Schulman is charged with the murders of 2 New York City prostitutes whose dismembered bodies were found in Suffolk County in 1994 and 95. Today, Schulman appeared to express remorse.
Would you say anything to the victims' families? I'm sorry.
One of the victims found in Medford remains unidentified. The second, whose mutilated body was found in a garbage dumpster in Millville last year, is identified as Kelly Sue Bunting, a 28-year-old from Hollis, Queens.
He had brought them back to his house, that they had engaged in drug use together, and that he, subsequent to that, beat them, dismembered their bodies, and disposed of them.
Schulman is implicated in at least 5 murders. On August 31st, 1991, an unidentified woman was found in Yonkers. On June 27th, 92, a female was found in a garbage dumpster, also in Yonkers. On December 7th, 94, the body in Medford was discovered. Then on April 6, 95, another female body in garbage at a recycling plant in Brooklyn. And in December of 1995, Kelly Sue Bunting was found in Melville. All the bodies had been dismembered. Police believe all may have been murdered at Schulman's Long Island home. And as officials searched his house for more evidence today, neighbors describe Schulman as a loner.
I drove him home one day from work, dropped him off. He lives right over here, and I could tell there was something wrong with him. He just seemed to, be really weird.
Suffolk County Police say Schulman has confessed to 5 murders, and they believe that is probably the total of the women he did kill. But they say with someone like this, you can never be sure, and they are not closing this case. Certainly not yet.
And that was the news then.